Hello everybody and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. I do apologise for being a bit late today, but we are all good and in for this qualifying session, and it's going to be Trikubidayak from the Czech Republic who'll be the first to set a time. Round the final corner comes the Aston Martin driver. It's a 24.5, but the championship leader X-Trek surely going to beat that straight away. Through the final corner he goes, and it is a 23.7 from the Mercedes driver, and Drogon goes just ahead of Triku. Scott is 2.5 tenths back from the championship leader. These two, the only two so far this season to have won a race. Enchiladadad goes to P2, and Jacko has been a victim of the leave the session and get DNF'd bug, so he will start from the back today. JB right up there as well. Look how close those top three times are. Astonishing stuff. We've got more times coming onto the board. Mr. 3Co coming across the line. He's P7. Ace is not a competitive lap time at the moment. What about Krauser across the line? P7, a 24.8 for him. Tier way down as well. He needs to set a proper time on the board. What about Anton? We haven't seen him for a while. The Brazilian back on the track after a couple weeks out. Down to the line comes the Red Bull driver, and he goes to P7 on the medium tyres. So we will see what he can do on the softs later on. What about Robsu through the final corner? He's P3 in the championship at the moment. He's had a great season so far. He goes to P9 to start off with. Not the greatest lap, but we know that his strength lies in race pace, not in qualifying pace, much like myself. So we'll see how it goes for him, and he hasn't used as much ERS as he could on that lap either, so we'll see how he goes. Hello to Rick in the chat. He says don't even have to look to know who's last. Well, it's Sumo, because he hasn't set a lap yet, so we'll see how he does. He's coming into the middle sector now, down towards turn number, what is that, 1 2 3 4 5, turn 6, turn 7, and now all the way down towards turn 9, which is the long sweeping left-hander that replaced the triple corner that used to be here. 52.9 in Sector 2. Sumo comes down towards the last few corners. Aces on his second attempt goes P5. That's much more like it from the British driver. It is X-Trek on pole at the moment, but Ench and Joe B right alongside him. Tier also improves to P8. Oh, and Sumo's into the barrier. Oh, it's a classic place to lose the car. The old Logan Sargent crash location, and Sumo's going to have to try again. But yeah, that is a little embarrassing for Sumo that I was riding on board when he did that, but at the same time, it was such an easy place to drop it at that particular corner. Sorry, not Logan Sargent. Wrong North American. Nicholas Latifi is who I meant to say. Triku improves to P6. But it's only a 13 thousandths of a second improvement, but it's enough to gain him a position. Hello to X-Trek in the chat as well. Quali session going well for him at the moment, but we'll see if it stays that way as the session goes on. Obviously, Enchilada and JB very, very close, and Scott not too far off either. So we shall see. Yeah, that's true, Jacko. You won't get your quali elo reduced, so there you go. Robsu comes through the middle. A better lap this time, trying to use his ERS that he wasn't using on his last attempt. Down to the sector line he comes. How far ahead is he going to be? 5.5 tenths. This is a huge lap time for Robsu. Could see him into the top 5 if he can find another tenth in the last sector. Stream lagged. Yeah, my Wi-Fi has been really, really bad. Or my router has been really bad the last few weeks. That's why I keep lagging whenever I stream to YouTube. It's because my router's not great. I don't know why. But anyway, Robsu through the last corner he goes. He's used all his ERS. Oh, nearly invalidates on the exit, but goes to P6. It's not quite enough to beat Ace. Has lost a lot of time in that last sector, actually. So there's still more to come from the Finn. So that should be pretty motivating for him at this stage. Yeah, Jack. we can do. I'm just concerned about restarting. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just concerned about like restarting in the middle of the race because like I'm not gonna know if we have to restart until you go off the line, which is an issue. We'll see. Cavalis has invalidated his next effort, so we're right on board with not Scott, because he's invalidated as well. What about Robsu? He's on an in-lap right now. So JB, the only one on a lap at the moment, is in Sector 1 in that Ferrari. He has had some incredible pace so far this season. He's been right up there in qualifying. His race pace and his general racecraft has not quite yet been at the level of a driver who has top tier pace. So we'll see if that changes today. You should be able to, Jack. I don't know. I honestly don't know. JB though coming through the middle sector. He's got ERS on. Let's see if he's gaining any time as he approaches the sector line just about now. Yeah, he's 3/10 up. This is huge from JB. He hasn't yet had a pole position this season, but this could that could be about to change. He comes down towards the last few corners now. But yeah, last race he wasn't quite there in Monza because his controller had a pretty major issue, but he bought a new controller and now he's back on form as he comes through the last few corners. There was a little bit of lag there, so I can't tell if he did lose the car through that corner or not, but he comes to the line and that is the time to beat. 23.334 from JB. That is quite the target for everyone else. Xtrek is improving as well, but by nowhere near as much. 1.5 tenths only through the middle sector. Needs a mighty final sector. Oh, and he gets it. Absolutely mighty final sector from the Norwegian. And the defending champ goes back onto pole position by 7/100ths of a second. But Enchiladad's improving as well. He could get a mighty final sector too, but these times are coming down very, very quickly now. Who else is improving? Is Aces on a lap? He is, but not really improving right now. So I'll keep riding on board with Enchiladad. I think that's Drogon coming across the starter lap, as well as Triku just ahead. So Ench going to be the next to set a lap through the final few corners. Here comes the man from Ireland who finished runner-up in both championships last season. Doesn't quite do enough to improve his position. He stays P3, but he's closer to those top two than he was. A 3.5 tenth improvement from the Sauber driver, and he'll be disappointed actually that he hasn't managed to improve position with such a big lap time improvement. Who's going to be next? It's going to be the other Sauber of Tyr. He's half a second up, so this could be a big lap for Tyr. Can he get himself into the top four? Big slide out the final corner, but it's still enough for the top four. Fourth place for Tyr, but there's a huge gulf between the top three and everyone else at the moment. Who's going to be next to set a time? I think it's going to be Antone. But he is not improving. Jacko with a record 60 place grid penalty for being in Tier 2. Well, you know, if you talk to sheep, then maybe. Mr. Threeko is for some unknown reason doing a lap on the mediums right now, so we're right on board. Well, not with Sumo, because he's also bailed out of his attempt. What about Triku Bidayak? Is he improving through the last couple corners? Someone improved. That was FCRL Drogon to P6, and Triku into the wall and out of qualifying. Oh, a big mistake at the last corner, and that is our newbie who got his best finish of the season last week, P4, and he is going to be 9th at best, and probably going to be further down as more drivers get their laps in. Alex, Cavalis and Sumo have yet to set a lap time. Mr. Threeko's still on the mediums for some reason, so I'm sure he's got more time in him on the softs. But anyways, who's going to be next? On an in-lap, so we'll ride on board with Robsu, because I think he is on a lap, just about a 10th up in the first sector, and considering Sector 1 is basically one corner, That is not bad at all as he comes down now to the Sector 2 line and then this very long Sector 3. 5/10 up for the Finnish driver. He's looking to get himself into the top 4 as well. I think the top 3 are in a league of their own today, but Robsu could be able to get near them in this qualifying session if he nails this final sector. Remember, he lost well over 2/10 in this final sector on his previous attempt, so if he can nail it this time, he could be right up there. Robsu through the final corner. He's not had a good reputation for qualifying the last few seasons, but could that be about to change? Oh, he goes to P4. It's a big improvement. It's still 3/10 off the top 3, but that is a comfortable margin to P5 for Robsu, and he'll be very happy with that, I think. Mr. Threeco into the pits. 3.5 minutes to go in this session, so he's got plenty of time to get in, get some soft tyres and get out again. Looks like Sumo invalidated again, by the way, because he's in the pits, and still no lap on the board for the McLaren driver. So we'll see if my podcast co-host can get something on the board before the end. Same for Cavalis. Alex G hasn't even come out the pits yet, but Cavalis, through he goes to start his next attempt. Scott's on a lap as well in P6, the man who started the sprint race last week on pole position and won the sprint race as well. Did he start the sprint on pole? I can't remember now. He definitely won the sprint race though. And so he's in good form at the moment. Scott, we'll see if he can continue it. He had a torrid first race this season. It was a DNF, and yeah, he just lost his head that week but in Brazil. But since then he's been much more on it, and culminated in last week's performance where he won the sprint and he eventually won the race after stewards as well. He finished in second on track, but Xtrek received a 5-second penalty from the stewards afterwards, and Scott ended up winning his first race of the season. He'll be looking to do so again. It was a big improvement in Sector 2. Through the final corner comes the Haas driver. What's it going to be? Doesn't invalidate on the exit. It's looking very good. It's enough for pole position from Scott, and that has really set the cat amongst the pigeons now. 2 minutes to go, and a new time to beat from the man who has come off the back of his first win of the season. And wow, that is quite the marker to set down. Alex says that if Sumo gets his time, he'll be on pole, but that's a big if. You know, it's one thing to have the pace to get pole, it's another thing to actually do the lap. So we'll see what Sumo can do. 1.5 minutes to go. He's only going to get 2 attempts at it. No, 1 attempt at it. He's not going to have enough time to go again. So if he messes up this attempt, he will be starting from the back of the grid behind even Jacko, who didn't get a chance to even drive out on track. So here comes Sumo. Big pressure lap this for the British driver. Here we go. Can he get something on the board, and will it be good enough for pole? Across the line he comes to start his next effort. Who's going to be next across the line, though, to finish that lap? Will it be Aces? No, he's in Sector 2 at the moment. But actually, I think it will be Aces, because no one else is on a lap. Everyone's on out laps, and there's a lot of traffic happening as well as everyone tries to get across the line for their final runs. So it could come into play, but I think everyone's playing nicely and leaving big gaps to cars ahead. Ace is pretty deep there at that right-hander, but he's not too bad through the rest of it. And now into the last couple corners, flat through that right-hander, a little bit on the brakes and down a few gears for the final corner. To the line for Aces. It's not enough for pole, but it is enough for 5th place. Big improvement for Aces. Can anyone behind him match that? Tira's not improving, so certainly not him. Robsu's on an outlap. He's only got 15 seconds. He should just about make it. Watch the clock, though. Mr. Threeco makes it as well, but again, he's gone on medium, so we're not going to get to see his true pace. And Robsu, with 4 seconds to spare, starts his final run. Tier, though, he's going to be next across, but I don't think he's going to improve. That is qualifying over, and Alex stays in the pit lane. Tier, big slide, and that is his quali over. He'll be 7th at best. What about Sumo? Can he get a lap on the board? Is it going to be enough? Oh, not quite for pole, but it's enough for the front row. And that's a fantastic pressure lap from Sumo Gilligan. What about Aces? Not improving, invalidated in fact. Antone across the line. What can he do? Oh, big slide and into the wall. Oh, he lost a ton of time there. And the Ferrari of JB comes through. No improvement for him. So he stays 3rd. What about Krauser? He comes through the final corner now in the Ferrari. Any improvement for him? Yes, actually, up to P10. Beats out Antone and Triku. Very nicely done from him. Who's going to be next? Aces versus Kings. Invalidated. Robsu on a lap, but not improving in the middle sector. Drogon invalidated as well. What about Extrarec? He's coming through. He's not improving in sector 2 either. He's used all his ERS. I don't think this is going to be pole for Extrarec. Oh, it's very, very close. He does improve in the end and gets past JB into P3, but that's the best he can do. And still, Extrarec, the defending champion's wait for a single tier 2 pole position goes on incredibly. But his race pace, we know, is much, much more up there in terms of what he can do. So Cavalis retires just to save time. I'm okay with that. He shouldn't really. He should go into the pits and then do it. But it's whatever. I'm not going to report him for that. Alex says I had a quali ban. No, Alex, your quali ban was for last race. So, because you don't have a quali ban anymore. So you just skipped quali for nothing, mate. Sorry to say that. But anyways. Jacko says he's not last. Well, that's something. We are waiting for some reason. Hello, EA? Are you capable of doing anything right? Okay, well, that's our qualifying session anyway, everyone. I think we'll probably be transported to the race. But it was a sensational pole position for Scott. His second one in a row, if you count a sprint qualifying pole. Yes, Alex, but your quali ban was for last race. It was for last week. You didn't have to sit out qualifying today. The quali ban was for last week. You missed the race, so it just negates the quali ban. Oh well. EA, go away, sell your crap another day. I like that. I do like that. Jacko's in, but he can't change setup. Alright. Alright, let's do a very quick lobby reset then. Unless no one sees my message, of course. Are we too late? I think we might be too late. Well, we got going. Triku has binned it at turn 1. Robsu has retired on track. I think people are starting to get the message. I'm going to message the tier 2 group chat as well on PS. Lobby reset, please. I sent the message out. I sent the message out well before the race started, so I think it's okay. But we'll very quickly do a lobby reset. Sorry to JB for making him do this. But yeah, it's only fair because we did a lobby reset for people not doing their setups last week. So yeah, I think my attitude towards lobby resets has sort of changed a little bit. In terms of I'm happy to do one reset for someone now these days, because before I was very draconian about it, and if it was just one person I wouldn't reset. But I think these days I'm happy to reset once, but after that, no, unless the whole lobby breaks, or half the lobby have issues, then one reset and that's it. So yeah, we'll do that quickly. Bear with us, everyone. Right, new lobby is up. Just waiting for everyone to get back in. I'm not sure who we're waiting for at this stage. Why is Jacko not in? Jack, where the hell are you? Sorry everyone, bear with. Just grabbing the grid. Alright, I think we're about ready to go. Apologies everyone, bear with. Should be there in just a second. All right, let's do this. All right, all our drivers getting their setups on, getting ready on the grid for our second attempt at a race start. Should be all good this time. Here we go. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's a good start from Scott from pole position. Sumo alongside though down to turn 1, and Sumo gets the best getaway and he's into the lead of the Grand Prix out of turn 1. Extra side by side with JB, who gets a big slide out of turn 2 and loses the place to Enchilada Dad. Then it's Robsu looking in the background. Cavalis is out and we've got a safety car very Cavalis out at turn 2, into the wall he goes. I don't know if there was contact, but that is a disastrous start for the Mercedes driver, unfortunately, from Lithuania. But let's have a quick look at everything here. So, about an even split between mediums and hards on the grid. Hards for Sumo, hards for JB and Robsu. That's an especially impressive start from Sumo, given that he started on the hards compared to mediums for everyone else around him. But he leads the way. We do have a safety car though, and that's going to give a little bit of a decision opportunity for those who started on the mediums especially, but maybe even those who started on hards as well. They might opt to go for the mediums. And try and make this a two-stop, as the medium runners might go into the hards and try and go to the end. It's a bit of a decision time here, but I'm not sure if it counts. I'm really not sure if it counts. If the hard runners pit for mediums now, whether it counts as a proper proper use of the tyre. But it looks like we don't have to ask that question because no one's come into the pits. So thankfully, we don't have to go down that route of someone finding out they're going to be disqualified in the last couple of laps. But we do have a safety car out, but it shouldn't be out for too long, as everyone has bunched straight back up again. But what a start for Sumo on those hard tyres. You know, some people who had better starts with the first race start are going to be a little irritated, perhaps, if this one didn't quite go as much according to plan. But at the end of the day, the last race start didn't count anyway. It was pretty much null and void before it even started, because the reset was called before the lights came on. So yeah, that is what I would say. I think Scott in particular might be a little frustrated, as he was P1 the first time around after turn 1, and he got a brilliant getaway. But this time, Sumo gets him into turn 1. Beautiful start on the hard tyres from the McLaren driver. We'll see if Scott, X-Trek and Enchiladad can all respond. It's another disastrous start for JB, by the way. Well, not disastrous, but he was up to P3 and now he's back down to 5th again. He was only up momentarily, but yeah, a little bit of contact with the Mercedes through turn 2. It's Antone up 3, Mr. 3Co up 2. Tier and Drogon both down 2, but everyone else either staying put. If you're X-Trek, the only driver to stay put at the race start, but everyone else losing or gaining just 1 place. So safety car should be in this lap, I would have thought. I don't think it'll stay out too long. And there we go, safety car in this lap, the message on screen. And Sumo is going to slow us all down and we'll get ready to get underway again. Abu Dhabi tends to be quite the chaotic circuit in Tier 2. There's a long history of Tier 2 races around here being completely nuts. So we'll see if that happens today. We have obviously had a very early safety car already, but we'll see if the mayhem carries forward for the rest of the Grand Prix. Sumo heading into the last couple corners. It's nearly 3 wide behind him as everyone jostles for the best position. Right on board with Scott. When does Sumo punch it? He goes before the final corner and Scott stays with him on the exit down towards turn 1. It's Sumo who leads from Scott, X-Trek, Enchiladad and JB, the top 5, with Robsu just behind him, P6 as well. It's a little bit of a poor exit out of turn 1 for Sumo, and Scott is right with him, but no moves being made except for further back. Tier and Krauser side by side through turns 2 and 3. Tier back at the Ferrari down towards turn 5. Can he make the move stick? On the inside he goes. Drogon hangs around in the background waiting for something to go wrong, but it doesn't. They're still wheel to wheel all the way down to turn 6 now. Who's going to come out on top between these two? We won't find out until later, because we've got to look back at the front as Scott looks to the move. Oh, but he locks the rears and gets a 3-second time penalty. He will get that removed in stewards, definitely, but he's lost a ton of time and positions. Big rear lockup for the Haas driver, and he's down to 6th place as a result of that. But not great for Scott at all. He'll be gutted about that one, and now Sumo's got X-Trek right behind him. Antone getting past Aces in the background as well through turn 9, and Drogon and Krauser going wheel to wheel. Krauser losing that position, and he's lost 2 positions this lap so far. Scott losing another place to Antone this time as the Red Bull went down his inside into turn number 11, turn 12, sorry. Great move from the Red Bull, it seemed, but didn't quite catch it. It might have been dirty, who knows. But it's X-Trek who chases after Sumo at the front of the field. Anton in P6, just ahead of Scott, who's dropped all the way to 7th place and now has a lot of work to do and gets very deep into turn 1. And, well, he had a absolutely brilliant qualifying lap, but it's all gone wrong ever since this race began. Didn't get the best getaway. Sumo got him into turn 1 and then locks the rears into turn 6. And, well, he'll be a frustrated man, I think. I think some of that frustration is probably going to be directed at me for restarting the lobby, because he got a great getaway the first time. But like I said, I called for the restart before the lights came on, so, you know, that's my take on it anyway. But it's Sumo leading the way ahead of Xtrek, but Xtrek's going to have the DRS, and here comes the defending champion all the way around the outside of turn 9. Sumo stays on the inside though and stays wheel to wheel with the Mercedes, runs him a little bit on the curb, but it's just about okay, I think. They're still side by side all the way down to turn 12. Sumo still on the outside, left room from Xtrek, and a little bit close there between the two of them through turn 13. That was very, very close to a disaster, but Sumo just about yielded in time, and it's Xtrek now who leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but Sumo right behind on those hards, and then it's Enchilada Dad as well right in the mix. It's a long DRS train, 14 cars still all in DRS of each other. Fantastic stuff here, and Xtrek going to be under huge pressure down to turn 6. Enchilada Dad as well from JB, who's still in this race, and he started on the hards as well, so he'll have a better second stint too. And Robsu all the way up there too. Alex G making a move on Mr. 3Co, our newbie this week in the Alpine. But he's running in last place at the moment as Sumo makes the move on Xtrek. Simple DRS pass down to turn 6. Ench nearly going into the back of his rival from last season for the championship. These two finished 1 and 2 in the championship in the end. It was a 6-way battle down to the last race as Xtrek down the inside of Sumo again for turn 9. Mr. 3Co's round at turn 7 as Scott makes his way past Anton for P6 as he tries to find his way back into this one. And slowly making his way back up the order. Sumo still side by side with Xtrek, or trying to be, through the hotel section, but Xtrek stays ahead for now, and I think these two are going to be swapping positions for quite a while at this rate. On to lap number 7 now already of 29. This race flying by at the moment. Xtrek still just about keeping Sumo at bay, but these two very evenly matched at this stage of the race. Enchiladadad and JB and Robsu and Scott, Anton, Aces, Tia, all in DRS range of each other. Drogon's just about fallen out of that 1 second range now. Can he stay in it? Mr. 3Co, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Will that be an early retirement? I'm not sure. It doesn't look like it for now, as we've got a move from Anton, I think, or was it Aces actually on Anton, up to P7 he goes. Xtrek retakes the lead from Sumo, and now Enchiladadad sends around the outside of the champion into turn 6, but Xtrek gets away with it, and Enchiladadad just has to yield in the end. But he's getting racy now in that Sauber, and so is Robsu down the inside of JB for the run to turn 9. JB breaks late and is going to try and hang around the outside, but does he have the grip to do it? No, he doesn't. He backs out in the end, and Robsu up to P4. Great move from the Finn, who's currently sitting 3rd place in the driver's standings, with his team Williams not doing too badly either in the constructors, although his teammate not present today, of course. We've got Sumo still leading though from Xtrek, who's just about managed to hold off Enchiladadad there. Krauser now up to P10 after getting past Drogon and trying to get back in the DRS range of the top 9. Alex G and Triku have lost a ton of time to the rest of the field now, and it's a long way back into this race for them, and now it's going to be a long way back for Krauser and Drogon as well. Big mistake from Krauser in presumably turns 1 or 2, and gets passed by Drogon, and now the gap to the DRS train in front grows even more. Here comes Extrek on Sumo, but this time doesn't decide to send it into turn 6, and they all go single file through turn 6 and 7. And now the run to he's got full battery in on that Mercedes, and he's using some of it. He's going to look to the outside. Sumo leaves him just about enough room. Here they go, wheel to wheel through turn 9 for the second time this race between these two. Sumo just about leaving the room again, and Extrek has to back out. Oh, he had to think about sending it into turn 12, but decided not to. Probably very sensible, that one from the Mercedes driver, but they head through, and it's still Sumo who leads, and this DRS train continues. The top 9 all close to each other. Then it's a big gap to Krauser and Drogon, who are having their own nice little battle, and Alex G and Triku, who are having their battle too. Remember, it's points for the top 15 in APPF1, so as long as you finish now, you will get points today. As Sumo is going to be looking for 20 of them, though, as he leads the way on lap 9 of 29. We're already a third of the way through this race nearly, and Sumo being pressured by Extrek, but I don't think he's close enough. If he used ERS, he would be, but the ever-calm Mercedes driver just sticks behind for now, and the ERS situation is very interesting, actually, as Scott makes another move as he fights his way back into this one. Up to P5 he goes, getting past JB, who just yields in the end, and I think once again, JB just letting people by at the moment. It is early in the race, but he does have to be careful here, because we've seen this plenty of times so far this season already, where he just shifts position after position after position because he's not willing to fight hard, because he's still in the midfielder mindset. But as long as he stays around about where he is, he'll be fine, and I think that's what he's got on his mind at the moment. He knows the time to be aggressive is later in this Grand Prix, so we'll see how he reacts as the laps tick down. Krauser and Drogon swapping places again. They're having a lovely little battle, and Alex and Triku have joined it now as a result of all of that battling. So we've got a top 9 and then 4 behind them, and then Mr. Threeco, who desperately needs a safety car. That is fantastic news, Rick. Dortmund 2-0 up against Madrid. I love to hear that. As Robsu down the inside for turn number 6 of Enchiladadad, and Ench is nearly losing the DRS to the top 2. He could lose it down on the run to turn 9, and that would give Robsu an opportunity here. Ench out of ERS as well as Extrek down the inside of Sumo, and that will help out Enchiladadad hugely as they'll both lose time thanks to battling, but Robsu's still going to be on him here. He's going to use the ERS possibly down to turn 9 to try and get this move done. Sumo round the outside of Extrek this time as they both go through just about. Is Extrek going to give Sumo just as much room as Sumo gave him? No, he gives him a lot more. Not willing to risk a crash, and Sumo back into the lead of this one with Enchiladadad staying ahead of Robsu. And could Robsu regret that? He might watch this stream later on and see how low the Sauber was on ERS and think, I should have overtaken, especially if they lose the DRS to the top 2 now, which they may well do. 1.1 seconds, and yeah, they're going to need a big mistake from Extrek, and that doesn't happen very often for the Norwegian. Through turn 1 he goes, and it looks pretty good to me. So Enchiladadad is going to lose the DRS here. Robsu might well get it back if he overtakes him with the DRS down to turn 6, but it's not looking good for all of the rest of this train to stay with the top 2 as it stands, and they're all going to blame the Irishman as they head through turn 5 and get a bit of oversteer. But Scott on the warpath as well. He's using ERS to try and make a move on Robsu. He's going to send it by the looks of it. He looks to the outside, but I think he's bitten off more than he could chew here. He still stays on the outside. Robsu sticks his nose on the inside of Ench. Oh, and Ench gets on the curb. Scott hits the back of the Sauber. He gets through, but so does Robsu. But look how much time they've lost to Sumo and Extrek now. We've got yellow flags. I think that is Drogon who's gone round further back. But JB and Ench, oh, there's contact. And Ace is looking to find his way through. JB's round. Ace has had to slow down as well, I think. I wonder if there was this. There's damage to the V-Carb driver. There is. Oh, aces. He's done nothing wrong, but he's gone. He's lost a front right end plate thanks to the contact up ahead. And will this man get any luck at all in APPF1 this season? Goodness gracious me. He just cannot catch a break, Aces versus Kings. I feel so much for him. But that's 4 drivers into the pits now, including Scott. I don't think Scott had damage, or maybe he did when he hit the back of Ench. But anyway, in they come, and that promotes Krauser up to P5, and Alex up there with him as well. This lovely little battle at the back of the field still going on. I'm glad the drivers who don't have the pace of the front runners are able to have a nice little battle of their own. But this leaves Robsu on his own now on the hard tyres. And Xtrek, interestingly, choosing not to pit, but why would you? He's still got the DRS for Sumo, he's still staying with him, so, you know, the rest might get a little bit of an undercut, but if they're battling, then it's not really going to matter from the point of view of Xtrek, because he's far enough ahead anyway, as Alex G makes a move on the Ferrari of Krauser. Krauser will have the DRS down to 9, but that bit of oversteer is not going to help his case, as Enchilada back up to P9 ahead of Scott. Remember, Scott's penalty will get removed in stewards. I'm 99.9% sure. He locked the rears and lost 4 positions, and got a straight 3-second corner cutting penalty for it, so not much he could do about it, as he speeds past the Sauber back to P9. But I believe that is a net P4 as it stands, as Xtrek does come in, but is anyone going to get the undercut on him? That's the question. Or will he come out comfortably ahead of the other drivers who've pit? In he comes for the hard tyres that he will strap on now. He'll get a lovely undercut on Sumo. That's the biggest thing for him, as Drogon comes through down to turn 1, and he's going to be ahead of the Mercedes, but I think Scott is just too far back. He's coming to turn 1 now, but Xtrek just leaving the pit lane, and yeah, I think Xtrek is going to be comfortably ahead here. Watch the left hand side, or even just ahead on the screen. There's the Mercedes in the distance there, and he is 1.9 ahead of Scott. They did get a nice little undercut, Scott and Ench, but it wasn't enough, unfortunately, for them. JB staying out as well in the Ferrari, 2 seconds behind Robsu now, thanks to all of that kerfuffle. And Aces versus Kings down in P10, needs a safety car. Same for Tier. I think he might have got caught up in it as well, as Enchilada Dad makes his way past Scott as they look to chase after Xtrek perhaps. They're on the same tyres pretty much, 1 lap difference is barely anything. 1.7 is the gap, but they're going to be exchanging DRS, but neither of them have anything in the battery, so that could be the problem for them, to catch up to the Norwegian, and going wheel to wheel is not going to help through turn 9. They have caught up a little bit, but Xtrek has got plenty in the tank to spend if he needs to keep them out of DRS at any point, so I think he is pretty safe at the moment. Robsu comes in for an early stop off of the hard tyres though, onto the mediums he's going to go in the Williams. And those will be to the end. He's looking to get a big undercut here, and he might well get it. Xtrek coming down to turn 1. Scott sets the fastest lap in his pursuit of the Mercedes, but Robsu just coming out the pit lane now is going to be very close with himself and Scott and Ench, but he's going to be behind them. And actually not close at all, really. 1.6 seconds, but he's on the mediums, so he should be able to give closing them down a good go at this stage. Krauser still having a lovely little battle with Alex G. Triku's already come in, and he's now in DRS range of Antone, by the way. So Triku's had a lovely in and out lap there, because Antone actually got an undercut on him. So Triku well and truly back in the race for another position from his point of view. As Ench and Scott swap once again, but there's nothing they can do to catch up to that Mercedes. 1.7 is now the gap. It goes back down to 1.6 on the exit, but it's staying around that level, and if both of them are draining their ERS, they're not going to be able to catch him anytime soon. Look how much ERS is in that battery on that steering wheel. So Xtrek very comfortable at the moment in his Mercedes. Still searching for his first APPF1 pole position of his career, but he's had plenty of wins already, and that is a fastest lap to add this collection, but it only lasts for 1.7 seconds as Enchiladadad takes it straight back off him again. And Robsu could take it off all of them. The pace he's going, he's closing down Ench and Scott despite their DRS, so he is flying on those medium tyres at the moment, although they will be worse towards the end. Due to the undercut that he has gone for. As Sumo gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. Surely that will be removed in stewards, but I must imagine it was a big mistake from the McLaren, and actually he's gaining quite a bit of time on JB. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's not removable after all. I'm not sure. But anyway, Scott. No, that's Drogon is round in his Haas, so he loses a ton of positions. Extract promoted to P5, and Enchiladadad 2 seconds behind him now as that gap continues to grow. Alex and Krauser once again swap positions. These two having a lovely scrap out there at the moment. For what will be, I think, a net P11 or so, but Krauser gets himself a track limits penalty. That's such a shame. And actually, Sumo is going to have to serve that penalty in the pits, I think. Are they going to stop and wait? Oh, they are! They are! He stops and waits in the pit lane for 10 seconds. And Sumo, his bid for this race victory could be over unless a safety car helps him out here. And always, if he has absolutely a ridiculous pace on those mediums, but I think he's far too far behind now. Aces versus Kings is going to come out ahead of him. And it's a disaster for Sumo Gilligan. He locked up at turn 6 and had to go straight on, but he didn't have to go straight on that fast. I was looking at the time, the gap between him and JB, and it came down by well over 6/10. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one, but he's not going to get it removed in stewards either way because he's served it now, and he's down to 12th place, and he's got a lot of work to do. But once again, Extract, just everyone else making the mistakes behind him, and he is just cruising to what looks like another victory. But there's still a long way to go in this race, 13 and a half laps, but Scott and Enchiladadad just don't seem to be catching him enough. Although Scott has saved up quite a bit of ERS these last couple laps. We do have a spinner, that's Mr. 3Co in turn 6, but he's got no going again, so no safety car this time. And the gap has come down to 1.3. Maybe it's not over yet. Extrac under a bit of pressure now. Is he going to use some ERS? He has done. Look at that. He's using plenty now on the run to turn 1. Scott sets the fastest lap, and that is intimidating for the Mercedes driver. Scott is flying in that Haas at the moment as he searches for his second race win in 2 rounds. But he is not, he's not got an easy ride of it. He's got to get past the defending champion, the man who's won 2 of the 3 races this season, the man he battled with for the race victory last week along with Sumo. And 1.4 seconds is the gap. Did Extract get DRS? No, not quite. But is he going to get it down to turn 9? He might well do from Krauser and Alex ahead, who are still yet to stop. I wonder if they're going to go onto the softs, but they come through. The detection point is just here. And yeah, Extract gets DRS, and Scott makes a huge mistake. Look how much time he's lost. He's lost a second to the Mercedes, and suddenly Extract looking very, very comfortable again as Enchiladadad gets past the Haas driver. Mr. 3Co gets another 10-second time penalty. Presumably he doesn't know that pit assist is off. I think that's what it is. I think he's just going max speed into the pit lane, not knowing that pit assist is off. So that would be my instinct to explain that. But anyway, round they go. Enchiladadad 2 seconds behind Extract. The gap's coming down again, but it's not coming down enough, and Extract now going to get the DRS, but he is going to be in a bit of a bother here because Krauser and Alex, but Krauser, big mistake from Krauser, and Scott has left the session. Oh no, Scott. Oh, it's all gone wrong for Scott at this stage. I'm going to try and send him an invite to see if he can get back in. Where is he? Scott, where are you? There you are. Have an invite, mate. Get back in. But it's all going right for Extrac. Just everything is going perfectly for the Mercedes driver. He's now going to get a beautiful switchback on Alex G to make that move up to second place on track. And Extrac now in well and truly in the driving seat to win this Grand Prix. My comments keep glitching out on my screen, so I'm going to open my app to see if anyone said anything. Yeah, everything that can go wrong for most people is going wrong, says Rick. And yeah, it is. It certainly is, especially anyone who's battling with Extrac, that's for sure. And that is a big problem for him. JB into the pits, Alex G into the pits as well. So this is going to free up a bit of space for Enchiladadad, who will get the DRS from Krauser as long as he doesn't make the same mistake again that he did last lap. And Robsu, his bid for the race win is surely over now as well, as he goes... as he gets himself a 3-second time penalty, and Ench is not going to get the DRS because Krauser does the same thing he did last lap. And, well, you know, it's an easy overtake for Ench, but he wanted the DRS. He needed the DRS to stay with Extrac, and now you surely have to think that only a safety car can stop Extrac from getting his third win of the season. And it's just, once again, he's not winning any of these races by a wide margin. It's not like he's just completely dominant and destroying the whole field. He's just keeping it keeping his car on the circuit, keeping it facing in a straight line, and that's it. Everyone else is making mistakes around him, and he just cruises to victory. He's just not doing anything wrong. That's the problem for everyone else this season. And Enchiladadad, he's going to be sitting 2 seconds behind him and thinking even more about last season, because if Extrac does cruise to his second title in a row in Tier 2, then, but it might not be that way because Krauser's hit the wall, but somehow stays in the race. He comes into the pit lane, and that is not a safety car, much to the delight of this man, Extrac. 2.2 seconds ahead now, and somehow Krauser has stayed in the race, and Scott has gotten the glitch. He's gotten the bug. It's happened. It's happened. Oh dear, I hate EA. I hate EA. I hate that they haven't fixed this. It's been in the game for 2 years now, and I hate that they still have not fixed it. It's so frustrating because it's just not fair. People just get disconnected and then the game just like, oh, DNF. Why? How'd you piss up the code that badly? But anyway, Tier up to P4 in the meantime, getting past Aces, but it is game over for Scott, unfortunately, I'm sad to say, as his championship chances are, well, it's early days still. It is still early days. It's only round 4, but yeah, that's now 2 DNFs in the first 4 races for the man who has won a race this season and has looked very much on pace to at least be on the podium every week. But yeah, it just, that's the way things go. That is what you want. Extrac now leads by 2.8. He is gapping Enchiladadad even more. Extrac has like a 25-point lead after this. Yes, I know, Rick. I'm not... I am paying attention to the standings as Aces is the next man to lose it. As he bins it out the last corner. He's still in the race, though. I think he just about avoided the wall as well. But we shall see. It's not over at all, Rick. Don't be silly. It's far from over. There's 6 rounds to go. 25 points is nothing. I've bottled a 23-point lead with 2 races to go before now. So, you know... It's not over. It is not over at this point of the season. Very, very far from it. That's a very pessimistic viewpoint, Rick. So, come on, get with it. Stupid game. Haven't been booting from a lobby in a month. I feel so much for you, Scott. Honestly, that is so undeserved. You were doing so well that race as well. And, yeah, that's so unfortunate. because you're definitely on for a podium today, I think, at the very least. But yeah, that really, really sucks. And hopefully it doesn't happen again to you this season. It's this patch today has ruined the whole game, I feel. Like, there's so many people getting booted from lobbies now as Triku and Anton go wheel to wheel, and Alex G tries to find his way past. Sorry, that's Sumo, not Alex G. Oh, who's lost it? That's Aces again, is round at turn 15, and things are all happening now on the same lap, just as I was talking about people getting kicked from lobbies and how EA were betting bad. Somehow the track springs into life. Triku and Anton go wheel to wheel. Triku loses it on the exit of turn 12, and Sumo threads the needle and finds his way past. He does now have a track limits penalty to his name, I've noticed, so he's got that to contend with as well in these last 7.5 laps, but he is looking at least for a top 6 finish. If he can gap Anton, he should be able to. The pace he's had today, along with the better tyres, he should be able to comfortably gap Anton, I feel, in the next 7 laps. The Red Bull will have DRS down to turn 9 though, so Sumo needs a great exit here. Doesn't get it, and he could be in trouble here. Does he have ERS to spare? He does, so he should be just about fine, but he's got to react here because Anton's approaching very, very quickly down towards turn 9. Oh, he nearly gets eaten up on the inside, but Anton decides to yield. That is probably a sensible decision from the Brazilian, and Triku stays right with him. A rejoin didn't allow me to take control. Yeah, it's the glitch, Scott. When you disconnect from a session, it just sometimes, it seems to be like, I reckon probably 50% chance to just DNF you. So yeah, it's so silly. It's so silly, and it's been here for the last 1.5 years, this bug, and they still have not fixed it. It's so annoying. And yeah, I know the 3 seconds could have been removed. I saw that right at the start of the race. I said that was 99.9% a removal of the penalty. So yeah, that's such a shame. But Enchiladad in the meantime, under pressure from Robsu down towards turn 6, and Robsu shuts the door on him as they go into the braking zone. Ench might be a little bit peeved by that, but I think all's just about fair with that one. Extract leaves by 3.8. He is coasting to a victory once again today, as Enchiladad 2 tenths behind. He is in a net P2 thanks to Robsu's penalty, and he's on a bit of a resurgence. He's had a poor start to the season, Enchiladad, but he's on a resurgence now. He's doing a lot better as of late. Got pole position last week, and here he is looking at a second place finish. So the man who finished second in the standings last season, back on form by the looks of things, as Aces once again loses it. He really needs to change his setup for Sunday, I think. He's got the elite race on Sunday as well in APPF1, and it looks like he definitely needs a drastic change of setup because he is spinning all over the place. Maybe there's rear wing damage, I don't know. There could be rear wing damage, and that's why it's happening as well, but he is having a bit of a nightmare race out there, is the VCarb driver, and he's looking at P10 today. Meanwhile, Alex G got his way past Triku on the much better tyres. Triku now down to 9th, but he's still doing a decent job out there in the Aston Martin as Enchilada gets his way back past Robsu, but they're still going to be wheel-to-wheel through turn 6. But Enchilada stays ahead. What about Robsu on the exit, though? Great exit for the Williams, and he should be able to get his way back past for turn 9. All this battling is giving Extrek an even bigger lead, by the way. Not that he needed it, but Robsu down the inside and takes second place back, but it's only on track, remember. Go, sometimes you should quit commentating because the unbelievable amount of commentators curse you bring to these unfortunate victims. Yeah, I do apologise for commentators' curse. I think only the good commentators can curse people. I jest, of course, but no, it's yeah. It happens, especially at this track. I seem to be very good at cursing people at this track. I think I think at least 4 people I've cursed on this track in APP and in ESRL as well, as Mr. Threeco has another bit of a spin. He is now a lap down, but he is going to score his first points of his APPF1 career. Oh no, Sumo! Sumo's into the wall at turn 1 exit, and oh dear. A bad race has just turned even worse, and he is going to be absolutely furious in that cockpit. And it's looking like it could even be as bad as P12 for Sumo today after he's looking at a possible race win. Oh dear. Yeah, this one's Rick's fault. This one is definitely Rick's fault. He said in the chat just before he crashed. So 100%, I'm not taking any blame for that one. That is all Rick's fault. But anyways, Scott says we classify race 1. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, 4.5 laps left to go. Well, more like 4 laps now as we come to the end of lap 25. Robsu and Enchiladad, the only close battle on track, really, because Aces, Drogon, Krauser and Sumo have all got penalties except for Aces. So I guess Drogon and Krauser is very much a battle that's ongoing here. And Krauser's got the better tyres, much better tyres. So here he comes through Sector 3, a little bit of a snap. He's already spun there once today, and there's been about 3 spins so far there today. Sumo into the pits for a new front wing and hoping to get the fastest lap, and Krauser nearly bins it at the last corner, just about holds on, but Drogon takes the opportunity on Aces, who still has that wing damage and is surely going to force him deep. Yeah, and does indeed, as Aces understeers with that wing damage, and Drogon loses the place to Krauser as a result. That may be a report, but I don't think Drogon knows Aces has wing damage, so if he'd known, he would have never gone around the outside there at turn 1, but he did, and pays the price as Krauser gets by, and he's going to get the DRS now. Ench and Robsu swap again further up, but I think that's just a simple DRS pass down to turn 9, and Ench back into P2. Krauser makes his way past Aces, and now Drogon's going to have to try and do the same to try and get after the Ferrari, but a very poor exit out of turn 7 is going to cost the Haas driver dearly as they head down to turn 9. Sumo, with the soft tyres, should be able to comfortably... Oh, never mind. They haven't fixed his wing. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, Sumo. Oh, you have to feel for him. You really do. He'll come in again. This time he will change his wing, I'm sure, for a fresh set of softs. Is he going to get lapped? No, he shouldn't get lapped. I think he's far enough ahead of Extrek not to get lapped, so he should be fine to have 1 attempt at the fastest lap. But Extrek leads by 7 seconds. But again, that margin does not tell the full story at all in this race. He has far from dominated this one. It's just that everyone else who's challenged him has been falling like flies. And once again, Mr. Threeco gets a speeding penalty, presumably for the same reason. And there we go, he's going to serve his previous one now. But he's a bit late because he's already a lap down. Extrek's coming on to lap 28. Maybe he'll get 1 attempt actually, so it's not too bad. But Aces and Krauser going wheel to wheel in the meantime. Aces down the inside, but brakes very, very late, and Krauser loses the rear on the exit. This could be an opportunity for Drogon. There's still a point on offer here. Or an extra point on offer for whoever finishes ahead out of Krauser and Drogon. At the moment, Krauser gets his way back past Aces, but Aces, of course, all he needs to do is just stay with these two in these last couple of laps, and he will manage to get P9. But that wing damage is quite severe, and now Drogon looking to make his way past. Ace is doing a great job to stay with Krauser, though, and Drogon not able to find a way through. He's going to be very slow at the penultimate corner, as Ace is. Actually, not too bad. So He's still sticking out there with Krauser, still staying ahead of Drogon. There's support for Drogon in the chat from his Haas teammate Scott. As Drogon comes through turn 1, surely he's got to try and get aces here, or at least wait for the final lap and then make a charge. But the target is Krauser, the Ferrari, and there's a car between them at the moment. So he's got to play this very cleverly, has Drogon, and he heads down the inside of aces for turn 5, but Aces keeps his foot in and stays ahead, and he's going to have the DRS as well, so Drogon's not going to be able to do much here as they head towards turn number 6. Aces deep again though, locks the front tyres with that wing damage, but it's a horrible mistake from Drogon through turn 6, and he loses the rears for turn 7. He doesn't lose the DRS, but now he's made his job a lot more difficult to try and get past Krauser in these closing stages. But Extrek takes us on to the final lap. It's been far from a comfortable victory for Extrek. It's been comfortable the last sort of 10 laps or so, but that's only because everyone else who's challenged him has had a complete nightmare, which is the story of this season, really. Extrek hasn't won any of his 3 races in dominant fashion. It's just that everyone else who seems to be near him just bins it. It's not like he's taking them out. It's like an invisible force field around him. It just compels drivers behind him to bin it, or just anyone around him to bin it, and he's reaping the rewards at the moment. His luck is bound to come to an end at some point, but it just doesn't seem to stop at the moment, as these 3, the best battle on track at the moment, as Extrek, or as Krauser, sorry, in the lead of these 3 for now, but Aces is going to have another run, as is Drogon. Drogon's just going to watch and wait and see if Aces slows him down, but Aces breaks early this time and doesn't go deep. He does in the end, but only because the wing damage. Drogon needs a fantastic exit here. Sumo does pick up the fastest lap. Drogon doesn't get the exit he wanted. He's going to use everything on the run to turn 9, but I don't think he's close enough. But Exterek comes home to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in the meantime. Krauser gets passed by Aces, so he will watch this battle as Drogon tries to pick his way through. He needs to get past Aces, but then he needs to get Krauser in the last sector, and he's not going to be able to do it. Drogon, I think, and that is definitely game over. A 3-second penalty and a spin, and Drogon's going to have to settle for P11 here. Triku Badayak's going to come home in P8. Enchilada and Robsu got the podium, by the way. A great result for JB in P4. Tia gets in the top 5. Great result for Sauber as well, who are looking to challenge the championship. The Saubers missed out on the Constructors by 1 point last season, so they've got a point to prove this time out, and great result for them, 2 and 5. Antone finishes just ahead of Alex in the end for P6. Triku Badayak in P8, those old rivals, Antone and Alex, finishing 3/10 apart. Aces in P9, disaster for him really this race, but it was all his own doing. He just kept spinning over and over, and I think he needs a drastic setup change for Sunday. Sumo comes home in extremely disappointing P12, and Mr. Threeko, a lap down, is going to come home for P13 and will score his first points in APPF1. Alex says 1 more lap and I'd have gotten him. Well, it's still a good drive, Alex. Welcome back. Good to see you back. And you get driver of the day from the game. There you go. Working next week. Scott, no. That's surely, definitely now his championship challenge over. But yeah, see you in 2 weeks, Scott. And yeah, Sumo, absolutely what could have been, he says. 100%. Such a shame that what happened to him. But there we go. That is racing. That is Tier 2 once again. It's another win for Extrek, but I have to say, just like I've been saying all this time, he is not winning these races because he's by far the fastest man on the field. He may well be, but not by far. by no means. Everyone else is very, very close to him, but he just seems to keep it consistent, and everyone else just bins it all around him. So there we go. X-Trek wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with Enchilada and Robsu rounding out the podium. Another podium for Robsu. He is flying this season. JB in P4, good result for him. Tier in the top 5, rounds out a fantastic day for Sauber. Anton gets P6 just ahead of Alex G. And then it's Triku Badayak, Aces, Krauser, Drogon, Sumo, and Mr. Threeko, the rest of the finishers. Scott getting the DNF glitch with the disconnect, and Cavalis retiring on lap 1. So let's get myself in the Tier 2 party so we can have some podium interviews with Enchilada and Robsu. Michael Smith, I'm assuming that's Mr. Threeko in the chat. He says, my tears were cooked and a spin in lap 4 that I never recovered from. Ah, yeah, Mr. Threeko. Unlucky, mate. Yeah, it's a tough track, this, to have on your debut, I have to say. So, you know, don't sweat it. And I'm sure you'll be back next week in much better form. But has anyone pointed out that you have the same name as the 2022 Darts World Champion? I hope they have. Or 23, whichever one. But anyway, Xtrek says in the chat, I was very mobilized from the last race where I lost the victory, but now I gave it my all. At the beginning, I kept behind Sumo, didn't want to wear out the tyres too much, so I kept behind him in DRS, and later went to hard tyres. From then on, I had the race and drove all the way to the finish line. Well, yeah, it seemed simple enough from his point of view, I suppose, after his pit stop. But from my point of view, where I could see everything that was happening, it was far from simple. And yeah, just the only one, once again, to keep it all together. So congratulations to him. We do have Enchilada and Robsu in the chat, or in the party to speak to. So I'll speak to our P2 finisher first. Enchilada Dad, it's good to see you back on the podium, mate. It must feel good as well.
It does feel good, but it was a weird one. I think in reality, second was probably the best I could hope for, but I still made lots of mistakes. The track was... I used to love Abu Dhabi, but it felt really bad today for some reason. Felt no grip at all times. I know people always say that, but it was really hard to drive, to be honest. And I made a lot of mistakes, but I'm happy with second.
Yeah, indeed. It was a great performance from you, I have to say, especially given how this season started for you. Just talk about the battle with Robsu towards the end. I know he had a time penalty, but was it some good wheel-to-wheel action? I caught some of it. I think most of it was just simple DRS overtakes, and you were just trying your best to catch Xtrek. But yeah, anything that comes to mind?
The vast majority of it was just overtakes on the straight, to be honest. But
yeah,
I was almost scared to go wheel-to-wheel because in case I oversteered into him or something and just killed one or both of us. So when he passed me, I decided to, because my tires were just getting destroyed, so I decided to just let him stay ahead for a few laps at that stage. My heart sank on the last lap because my audio disconnected. I thought my power went out.
It seemed like the gap was coming down at one point.
I think it was more so, there was two cars, I think, starting on hards that were in between us, and I dumped.
Oh, well, congratulations on second place and getting yourself back on the podium for the first time this season. How do you feel about the rest of the calendar so far?
Next, once that's done, the rest of them are fine, I guess.
Fair enough. All right, well, good luck for the rest of the season and congratulations.
Okay, thank you, and congrats to Xtrek and Robsu too.
Indeed, and we'll come straight over to Rob Sue. Well, this season is going quite swimmingly for you at the moment. That's second podium of the season as well. How does it feel?
It feels great actually. I mean, very surprised again, but still, I feel great. I feel great.
Indeed. Well, I mean, when you strapped on those medium tires in the second stint, did you think you might have a go for the race victory? Is that why you went for the undercut, or were you just trying to cover off everyone around you at the time?
No, just to cover up everyone else. I know that I was no match for Extra, and not sure was there someone else also leading, but I mean it was just going my own strategy and trying to get that podium.
Indeed, and well, the podium is what you got in the end, so congratulations. Same question to you with regard to the rest of the calendar. Any rounds that stick out as good ones, and any ones that you're really not looking forward to?
Not well. Hold on, let me take the calendar tracks.
Oh well, I hope so. I hope you haven't just cursed yourself. But,
Me too.
We'll find out in the next couple of weeks, because it is Baku that we head to next week. But yeah, thank you, Rob Sue, and congratulations on another podium.
Thank you, Ghost.
So there we have it, another race done in Tier 2. 4 rounds down, 6 to go in this season, where Xtrek is flying away at the top of the standings. Can he be caught, is the question on everybody's lips. And well, one track that can definitely define championships is Baku, and that is what's coming up next. So if Xtrek is going to have a bad week anywhere, next week is going to be the one. So don't miss it, everyone. Thank you all ever so much for watching. My drive of the day for today, by the way, I'm going to give to Enchilada Dad for getting back on the podium after a bit of a ropey start to the season. So congratulations to him. And thank you all ever so much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday for more APPF1 Tier 2. Goodbye.